everyone. It is Sunday night and we are hanging out live here at Bat City Comic Professionals in Bradenton, Florida, which means it must be time to wind down your weekend. As always, I'm your host Shannon, aka Small Press Shann, here to talk to you about all of this week's indie and small press titles. And of course, before we kick that off, we always start talking about how we are winding down our weekend and what wine we are using to do just that. And this amazing wine that we are about to try actually came to us from one of our customers. Shout out to Benny. He brought this over for us from the area of California that he's from. And I'm really excited. It's called Justin. It's a Cab Sav. I love that it is supposed to be something that is full of black fruit and spice, which seems to be some of my most favorite we are not doing Cab Franc. I was going to get really Cab Savs. But what's really cool is it does talk about how this is like purified through like intense grapes, like purified through rich limestone. And I'm always in for things that are purified through limestone because all of my water my entire life was, because I'm from Texas. And so I'm really excited to give it a try. It was it's got a lot of really cool descriptions on the back that we'll talk about after we try it, but mostly I want to give it a go. So I'm gonna take a drink. Oh man, that's rich. You can smell the whole aroma of it. Like it says the nose, the fruit. Oh. Is that because I used an actual term, or was it because of the taste of the wine?
The taste of the wine.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's nice. I like the spices it's got. I wonder what like black fruits it uses. Like, is it black? It's probably blackberries, because it doesn't taste as sweet as some of the like other options. So I'm like, it must be a blackberry mixture. It's really good. It is barrel aged. I'm just saying. Yeah. But yeah, all right. Well, we're gonna be drinking this. Thank you again, Benny. This is gonna be great. I'm super excited to pair this with my charcuterie board later, because it's gonna be fantastic with that blackberry jam that we got from Yoder's, and I'm so excited. Or no, it was from Der Dutchman. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. It's gonna be amazing. This is perfect to go with blackberry. But thank you again, Benny. This is great. I'm gonna be drinking this all night. If you're drinking anything fun, again, as always, even if it's just water, let us know, because we just want to know that you're joining us and hanging out. And if you want to tell us all about the comics that you love this week, pop them in there. Even if it's not small press and indie books, if there's something you just really love this week and you want to tell us about it without spoiling it in the comments, feel free to drop that in so we can hear what everybody's reading, or I guess read what everybody's reading. Before we jump into the books of the week, I've got a couple of things. We just had some really great events this last week with our Ladies and Non-Binary Nerd Night. We had a huge, awesome Sunday Crafternoon last week. We had the amazing Hannah's Enchantments outstage doing a workshop for the Big Brothers Big Sisters program, which was super cool. And yesterday we had Story Spelunkers, where we made a giant mess all over my table, which was a fantastic. It looks so pretty. I love it. When we read Primer from DC, which if you don't know is all about a kid superhero who gets all of her superpowers from paint. So we got a little messy, which was fantastically fun for all of us. And we had another Slam Academy class yesterday, which was our figure drawing class. It was amazing. Shout out to our awesome art teacher, Adrienne Dogface Prudhomme, for just really nailing it with that class. Coming up this Saturday is the next class, the third class in the series for kids and teens, and it is all about world building. So both Santiago and Adrian are going to be there this week, and they are going to be teaching you both how to world build through writing and through art for when you're making those incredible graphic stories that you're going to be doing, and you need to know how to build that world out. It's going to be an awesome class. So don't miss that. Also, this last week, we got to share with all of the schools the winners of our Will Eisner Spirit of Comics bookmark design. So earlier this year, March, April, we had a bookmark design competition. We sent it out to all the schools in the area that we've worked with and let them know that we wanted to see their kiddos design bookmarks about what comics meant to them. And so we have 4 winners, and I'm going to show them off to you. So first up, we've got our winner for kindergarten through 2nd grade, which was Connor at Miller Elementary. And he did this awesome Dogman bookmark for us, which is super cool. I'm gonna be honest. The K through 2nd was really a hard decision on who could draw Dogman the best, because we had so many awesome Dogman entries. We actually made like a whole stack that was like this big of like Dogman, and we like had to like go through all the Dogman stuff. So all of the winners were chosen by our Slam Academy teachers. So Santiago, Adrian, Barrett, who is our art historian and art history teacher coming up later this summer, and myself and Matt, we all got a vote on these, and so it's super cool. But this one's Connor. Shout out to Connor in the 2nd grade, now 3rd grade, because school just ended Friday, for that awesome bookmark. Our 5th grade winner brought us this awesome Demon Slayer. And this is from Michaela, who also just happened to be at Miller Elementary, which was crazy. When we like narrowed down the votes, we were shocked that we had 2 from the same school. But shout out to Michaela for this awesome like Demon Slayer. The pencil work on it was really, really good. We were really impressed. And a 5th grader going into 6th grade now, really impressed with this artwork and line work. It's fantastic. For our 6th through 8th grade winner, for our middle schoolers, we had this awesome one coming from Isai at Rowlett Middle Academy, which of course we know we've been out there for their art students, and they have so many talented ones. So I'm going to show it to you this way, and then I'm going to flip it really fast so you can actually see. Yeah, we love this one so much. It's got Kirby, and he is consuming all the different types of pop culture media, which was really cool. It's just different things from comics and video games and movies. And I love that, because the theme was Spirit of Comics, and to have Kirby just want to eat it all up is exactly how so many of us feel about what comics are. So that was fantastic. And then we had our Best in Show bookmark, which went to Juliana from Imagine School, who was an 8th grader, will now be going into high school, but this is from the Imagine School North Manatee. We love the manga and American comic like fan favorites coming together in this, with this cute little adorable Spider-Man kiss. Juliana actually found out that she was Best in Show a little bit earlier than everybody else, because we let her know at Imagine School Comic-Con at the end of April, and it was so amazing to get to actually like present Juliana with like a surprise. But it's fantastic. All 4 of these bookmarks are going to be available all while supplies last, for free at that city. So if you need a new bookmark for all of your summer reading, you can come grab 1 or 4 of these and support local kids, because these kid creators are fantastic, and we're so excited to see all of their artwork and to put it out there. So these will be at the counter throughout the summer for everybody to support. So come grab them, and shout out again to those kids. And if you are one of those kids and you haven't made it in yet, you do also have a I know Juliana's gotten hers, but if everybody else, if you have not made it in yet, you do winners have gift certificates for Bat City waiting for you. So come on out, and I'm going to take these. I've got the whole stacks. There are tons of them for each winner. So they all their schools already got copies. Every grade, like all the like 4th grader or 5th graders at Miller, all the 2nd graders, all the middle schoolers, they all that grade, the 6th graders, they all got copies of this that the teachers got to hand out before the end of the year. So everybody got to get some and share them with their friends, which was really cool. And so now these are the ones that remain are for people who come into Bat City to take. So please grab them. And speaking of summer reading, as always, we will have summer reading logs going on. And adults this summer, there is a challenge for you coming for your own reading experience. So coming up this week, we will be announcing our reading themes for June and July for Books Are Magic for our young readers, and adults, we will be announcing what your summer reading challenge is going to be. So keep an eye out on our website and our social media for all of that information coming your way this week. It's going to be so much fun. And you know, it's the perfect way to kick off your summer is get your bookmarks and get your books and get ready to go. I'm going to take another drink of this wine before we kick off books. I think a bug fell in my drink. Well, that was fun. Or it was cork. I'm not really sure. I'm really good. I opened the bottle today, so. But I'm cork. Do you have cork in your drink?
No.
Okay, then it was probably a bug.
Protein.
You know, I guess so. All right. Well, flying bug. Don't be in my drink anymore. We'll see. Ooh, is that it? Is that the bug? This is a great way to be on the internet.
This is great television.
Great live television. Shannon trying to fish the bug that fell into her drink out. We'll leave it there. It's gonna be. I think I missed. Whatever. I'll come back to it. And deal with it later. All right. Or I'll pass my glass to Matt and let him deal with it. All right. So we
need to switch. Are you not going to drink that?
I'm not going to drink a bug.
I am. I don't care about a bug. Wine's delicious. Here.
Wine is delicious.
I don't care about bugs.
Okay.
Give me this. No bug. There's no bug in here.
I mean, I tasted it hit my mouth. So you deal with it. All right. You find the bug.
It's delicious.
All right. Well, there you go. It was great. And then, you know.
Mike says Baxter stock.
You know, I wouldn't put it past him to try to ruin my fun. All right, now we're going to get to the good TV, which is not me fishing bugs out of drinks. We're going to talk about comics, and we are going to kick it off with Something Is Killing the Children, issue 37 from Boom Studios. If you haven't read 36 issues of Something Is Killing the Children, that's okay. Not only do they have trade paperbacks to help you out if you want to catch up on all of it, but issue 36 was kind of a relaunch point for Something Is Killing the Children. Like, we're doing this Erica going back in time kind of situation where she's like, we're starting to see what some other adventures that she may have had. So just kind of tells from the road, I think is what they're calling it. But if you don't know, Something Is Killing the Children is all about a girl named Erica Slaughter, who is somebody who slays monsters for a secret society, and that monsters are only seen by children in this world, and it's because their imaginations are so strong. But monsters can actually hurt other people. And so we kind of see them have to go around and fight all of these evil monsters and deal with all of it and cover-ups and things like that, as secret societies are known for doing. And like I said, the last 35 issues, we kind of saw one big story that started with Erica on the road and then ran into like Erica trying to leave her secret society and what secret societies do in that kind of situation, and all kinds of like crazy monster situations that could come up from that. And we've gotten into a big political ordeal of Erica trying to take her time away from there, and to take a step back, we're going back into some more stories on the road. And so if you want to jump into Something That's Killing Children right now, just to see if you like it, you can get in on this arc that is happening and see if it's for you before you go hunt down 5 trade paperbacks, or 6 trade paperbacks, 7 trade paperbacks. We're at so many. Before you go and dive into all of that, you can grab one of these and just kind of see if this is something that you'd be interested in. We've also got Grimm issue 17 from Boom as well, and this is Stephanie Phillips telling her story about somebody who's kind of fighting their own monsters. And in this story, we are following a girl named Jess, who early on finds out that she is connected. She is a Grim Reaper, and she finds out that she is connected to the ultimate Grim Reaper. And basically all hell has been made loose on Earth, and death is not a thing anymore. And so her and her ragtag group of friends have been trying to put it back together. And one of the things that's happened as they've been on this journey is they each kind of have to face the worst and the best of what they were. And so right now we are following along as one of Jess's friends, who is a hair metal band rock star is having to deal with his past, and so he is confronted by all of the things he did that were wrong to members in his band and people that he cared about, but also having to deal with his own personal trauma of, you know, having an abusive parent. And is that really the worst bad that he ever had is something he has to come to terms with, because you know, sometimes the trauma that we cause might be worse in our lives than the trauma that was done to us, and he really has to experience that in this issue. This is another one of those long-lasting Boom series that's been really, really good, and highly recommend to anybody who hasn't jumped into it yet. Again, trade paperbacks do exist. All right, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Saturday Morning Adventures issue 13 from IDW. If you are a fan of the Ninja Turtles cartoon and you do not read this book, you are missing out on reliving all of the glory days of your childhood fun. And so in this one, the Ninja, it picks up where the last issue we kind of saw that Mr. Og was back. Is it to say Og? Is it Oog? Is it? Okay. He's back, and he is going to attack the turtles. And one of the things he does is he creates these illusions, and in this, he sends, I'm going to actually go back a page. He sends the turtles to fight against the only people that the turtles can, like, never beat, which is themselves. But it's from every other incarnation of the Ninja Turtles, which is so cool. Like, they even got Jennika in there, which I was like, oh my god, Jennika, first appearance in, like, the cartoon version. But yeah, so they get a couple of different people from all the different cartoons, the original comic, and then, of course, Jennika from the new story. And they all have to fight each other. And they're sent to different, like, realms, like Mortal Kombat kind of style to, like, fight against them. I love it because Raph is fighting the Leonardo from the original comic, and he makes, like, a snarky, like, the Leonardo makes a snarky comments, and Raph is like, big words from a guy wearing the wrong bandana. And I'm like, haha, you made the bandana joke. I knew it was coming. And then other than that, like, they're each, like, facing off against each other. And, you know, our classic cartoon Ninja Turtles are like, we're not violent. We actually only fight bad guys to help people. We don't fight to fight. Like, that's what we resort to last. And the other versions are all like, okay, but, like, you gotta fight. Like, we have to do this. Except for the Mikeys, who are like, let's get some za, bros. And so it's super cute. And they all have to kind of come to terms with, again, the best and worst of themselves and put it all together to try to fight, because they are in this challenge. In the last issue, Mr. Og had them go on a, like, into, like, this battle royale against him, and they won the first round. And so this one is like, can they beat him in this? And we're going to find out when you read this, and you're going to see where the story is going to keep going. I do love that they, at one point, because it is the Ninja Turtles cartoon, they, at one point, are like, oh, man, like, what are we going to do? And they're like, I don't know, but we still have 25 more pages to wrap up this story arc, so I'm sure there's going to be plenty of time. And so I love that they just break the fourth wall a million times over, and it's so cute. Again, cartoon fans of Ninja Turtles, you definitely need to be reading that. Up next, we have Local Man, issue 10 from Image Comics. If you were a fan of 90s Image Comics and you always wish that somebody would go deeper in those stories and bring them into the now, this is your chance. Because this is basically what if 90s superheroes from Image suddenly were written at this point in time. And so we follow a guy named Local Man who used to be called Crossjack. He was a member of one of the, like, generations of superheroes at Image back in the day, and he got removed from I'm going to flip this over and go to the actual side of the story. He got removed from the group and had to go back home, and he learned very quickly that you can't go back home. Everybody home hates him because he, like, abandoned the town when they needed him, and then as a superhero he kind of, like, messed up everything in his superhero world, and so they all hate him, but he's been there for 10 issues now. He's solved some crimes, but he's also caused more problems than good. And now he's at a point where they're like, you're going to have to, we think that you're a criminal. We think that you've been wrapped up in these murders because you are a part of them. Like, we don't want you here. And so he's gone on the run back to a member of his third gen that is keeping him safe, only to find out that, like, she thinks he needs to go home and deal with his stuff. And something has happened where his mom is joined an organization that is supposed to be helping people, but is not actually helping we call them cults. And she has joined one, and he is worried that something is going to happen to his mom. And so he returns home to try to deal with that, only to find out that the home that's supposed to be in a disastrous state is actually doing just fine. And everybody wants to know, like, why he's there and what's going to happen, and we're going to see exactly where that takes us. This has been a fantastic story, honestly. I love that they address all the problematic issues of 90s image characters, but and as they bring them into this modern term, but also like give you a little bit of those, like, you get that background story all the time that's like, this is what these characters would have been doing in the 90s. Like, here's, like, you could go grab the old issue, here it is. But then you also get the new modern story of him trying to just kind of live with his life and deal with it from now. Really good. It's it's Tim Seeley and Tony Fleece working together, and it's fantastic, so you should definitely check it out. We've got Void Rivals issue 9 from Image and the Skybound Energon universe, which is our Transformers G.I. Joe crossover. And I always say when we talk about Void Rivals that, like, issue 1 had a little teaser that set up the Energon universe, and then we hadn't really seen the Transformers impacting us much in Void Rivals. But once again, we are kind of circling back towards how this is all connected in this issue. And I'm not gonna lie, I did have to Google why everybody had, like, there was like this big reveal in the last, like, second half of the book, and I was like, I don't know what any of this means, so I don't know if I'm supposed to care. So is this new or is this old? And so I did Google it because my Transformers knowledge isn't great, and I learned a lot. But in Void Rivals particularly, this follows a man and a woman who are from warring planets who have crash landed on the same planet during a battle, and realized that they weren't actually so different, and it was actually their ruling parties that have been lying to everybody, trying to keep them separated. And when they try to make a stand and stop the war, it doesn't go well. And so now they are trying to get to his home world so that maybe they can stop things from his side. It isn't working so well. They are trapped once again on a random planet. They find another random Transformer who is either going to help or hurt them along the way. We're going to find out. Things have not been going well. And this is all leading up to, I guess, from what I learned on the internet, some big changes / connections to the original Transformers origin story. So if you're a fan of Gen 1 Transformers and you aren't reading this, you should be. But if you're reading the Transformers of the Energon universe, you're going to need to go back and grab Void Rivals. And I've had like 3 people this week who have come in and said, I think I was wrong and I need Void Rivals based on like this input. So yeah, there's going to be a big thing that connects to what we know as the Gen 1 origin story of Transformers, but there's going to be possibly some little twists, and they are revealed in this issue, so make sure you grab that. We've got The Holy Roller, issue 6 from Image Comics. This is Rick Remender writing a book with Andy Samberg, and yes, I mean that Andy Samberg from The Lonely Island and Saturday Night Live. And this is all about a guy who was raised in a small town that's filled with a lot of hate. And his dad was an amateur bowler who's like the best in the town, but like, you know, he's embarrassed by the fact that his dad's really into bowling. So he runs away from home, joins the Peace Corps, joins all kinds of things, and spends his time out and away from home, only to one day receive a message years later that his dad is dying and he needs to go home. So he returns home to find out that his town that was already filled with a lot of hate, in that classic like super small town fashion, has now become completely and totally overrun, and people like him and his dad and his friends are no longer safe there. And so he decides, after some very dangerous stuff goes down, that he needs to become a vigilante, and the only way to do that is by using the bowling balls of his father. And so he becomes the Holy Roller, who is a vigilante who fights crime using these specialty bowling balls. And so far, he's done a bang-up job in both ways that you could take that. He is doing really great and really bad, and every twist and turn seems to just get us deeper. And we're going to see if he can stop hate once and for all as the story unfolds in the next couple issues. But you do get some good Andy Samberg jokes with all the Rick Remender heart like blurred together, so it works really well. Assassin's Apprentice, Volume 2, Issue 6 from Dark Horse Comics. And this is the end of Volume 2 of this book. This is one of those books that I need more people to read. And if you can, like, handle more of the, like, high fantasy language, but not really that high fantasy of a story, this is a good one for you. Really, it's like, you know, your knights and kings and things like that. But it's all about a young boy who is the illegitimate son of one of the princes of a kingdom. And he's initially cast out, but they, like, raised by the stable man, and then they find out essentially that he has this gift, which is the ability to hear and control and, like, push on other people's thoughts. He uses it specifically with animals, which is something nobody else can do, but he can actually do it with humans. So they at first are training him to be an assassin, and now that they know he has this gift, they are actually training him to be somebody who uses the gift as a possibly an ambassador, possibly remaining an assassin, a little bit of both. And in Volume 1, he kind of dealt with all of his assassin training. In Volume 2, he has been dealing with the training to learn to use his gift, and it has not gone well. The guy in charge of training people to use the gift does not like him, probably because he's stronger in the gift than him, but also because he is that illegitimate child. And in this issue, he has to make the choice to continue with his training or not, and where that might lead him. And as he is slowly growing up and also possibly falling in love, he is dealing with all kinds of emotional struggles. And this issue leaves us on a cliffhanger for the next volume, which I am impatiently going to wait for until, when did it tell me? I think it told me that volume. Did it give me a date? Yeah, December. So thanks, Dark Horse, that I have to wait for December for the next volume. But I'm super excited that gives the rest of you time to catch up. Volume 1 was only like 3 or 4 issues, and now Volume 2 has only been 6. So it's really, really simple to catch up on this, and you're going to want to because it's really good storytelling, and I really like the characters. Cobra Commander, issue 5 from Image and the Skybound imprint. This is the end of Cobra Commander. They've all been outside of Transformers and the upcoming G.I. Joe proper. This is the titles in the Energon universe, and Void Rivals, I guess. The titles in the Energon universe have all been little quick mini-series to help get you jumping from one person to the next and get all of the sides of the story, but focused from each angle, which is a really, really cool way to do it. I like that they're 5-issue minis that tie into the overarch of the Transformers and Void Rivals. But this one has been following Cobra Commander on his rise. It was supposed to be literally the rise of Cobra. And so he started out as just an underling at Cobra Law who had discovered the, mysterious robotic Transformers and all of their power. And I'm not going to tell you, like, which one or how or any of those things. And he has been trying to find more of essentially their Allspark and their Energon, and, so that he could use it for his own power. In the last couple of issues, he has figured that he would go after the weapons master of the universe and try to get him on their side, which for those of you who know G.I. Joe means it is Destro. And so he has been targeting Destro to try to get him to join his new Cobra Rise. And in this issue, we get our first big look at not only what Cobra Commander is up to in this situation, but we also do kind of see what Destro has been up to and whether or not these two are going to be able to work together. And I will tell you that the next series is Destro. So we're going to see where this story goes, but we're going to see it from Destro's point of view, which again, I think has been a really cool thing because we got Transformers, which introduced us to Duke, and then Duke was like our first mini-series in the G.I. Joe world, and then we kind of heard about like, oh, well, there's these bad guys, and then we got like the Cobra Commander, and then like Duke kind of introduced us also to the fact that we're gonna get Scarlet as the next good guy book, and then this introduced us to Deathstroke, and we're gonna get Deathstroke as the next book. So it's really cool because you can kind of jump in with your favorite characters, but if you're reading the whole thing, you get a full story, which is amazing. And I'm really excited to see what they continue to do with this Energon universe. And if you're a fan of 80s cartoons, the hits just keep on coming because Thundercats issue 4 came out this week from Dynamite. And if you haven't read this one yet, it's kind of a reboot of Thundercats. This is all about the Thundercats as they are leaving away from their home planet of Thundara, and they end up crashing on like what they call the third Earth and having to stay there. In the process, Lion-O goes from a little kid to a full-grown adult. The Sword of Omens is broken, and they are having to figure out how that's going to work for them and whether or not they should just rebuild here or if they should try to go home. And villains are coming for them in lots of ways. Some from their home, some from this place. I have to show you this. We're about to get Powerpuff Girls. This is, I like the fact that we have a Powerpuff Girls and a Space Ghost ad inside of a Thundercats book is the most, like, I don't know what year it is, but I'm happy to be in this one kind of thing. But we see some betrayal in this issue from different characters, and we see kind of the lead into what is going to actually be the bigger part of this story. So far, issues 1 through 4 have kind of just reintroduced all of the Thundercats characters, who they are, what their powers are. We are going to see a Chitara spinoff that's going to be like her origin story coming up. This is the end of this first initial 4-part arc. It is going to continue as we get into the story because we just introduced our big villains, and so we're going to see where that goes next for them. But if you are a Thundercats fan, get on it. Catch up now. All right. We're going to keep going with Blue Book issue 4 from Dark Horse, and this is Blue Book 1947. That's the number on there, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I was like, it's somewhere there. Which is essentially just volume 2 of Blue Book. But if you didn't read volume 1, it doesn't matter. This is, Blue Book is all about the Blue Book that is what they call the government information on extraterrestrial life. The first one kind of focused on actual extraterrestrial appearances and things like that. This book has focused on UFO sightings. And at the end of the last issue, issue 3, we saw that first little bit of information about Roswell, which of course we all know is like the big UFO sighting in American history. And in this one, they kind of go into everything that came out of that. All the people who claimed like, no, it was just weather balloon, all the stuff that came from that cover-up. And then we go into all the people who have been trying to debunk the cover-up over the years. And the people who came out and were like, oh, I was paid to lie, versus the people who came out and were like, no, they're lying now. I was there too. Plus the people who wrote the book on all the interviews allegedly that are like, oh, well, there was actual alien life there. Whereas like everybody, even the people who are like, oh, I was lied and told to cover up, or like there were no aliens there. We kind of get to see all the different pieces of the puzzle, and like it's one of those things where you're like, ooh, now I kind of don't know what's true and what isn't true. And it's like at the end of the day, like, why do we have Area 51 if it wasn't there? But they're like, oh, and then that found footage came out, and then like years later the guy who made the found footage came out and was like, well, it was fake footage, but it was of a reenactment of real footage I saw. And so it's just one of those like, nobody knows what's real and what isn't. And James Tynion and Michael Avanoming are like making these really cool books that kind of just go through all those stories. They don't necessarily, it's not fictional at all. They're not giving you an extra story. They're not even necessarily like putting anything into it. They're just kind of taking like the historical data and putting it in order and letting you make your own decisions, which is super cool. So if you haven't read Blue Book yet and you like alien stuff, you should definitely check it out. The Fog, issue 4 from Sumerian, and this is based on John Carpenter's The Fog, so it's your classic like B. This is not really a B horror flick. It's just a 70s horror flick. I was trying to see.
Actually, 1980.
It's 1980.
So
I don't know. Anything that happened before I was born, I'm just like, that was the 70s, because I'm so close to the beginning of the 80s that I always just assume things before me were the 70s. But that makes sense. I feel like most of John Carpenter's movies are the early 80s. like the big ones that are like these that everybody talks about isn't.
I guess so.
Right, like, I mean,
I guess
Halloween
so.
music, and he did that, and that was the 80s. Halloween, wasn't that 1980?
78.
78. See? One of them was from the 70s. I was getting close. Well, if you've ever seen The Fog, you know there's something alive in The Fog, and there's this big, huge lore about what it is. You know, pirates that were lost at sea and weren't allowed to pick refuge in this home. And then this actually takes place, like, post the movie. So the characters from the movie are not in it. Necessarily, but it is like years later, and it's like, oh, well, your parents or my grandparents or this or that are all people who experienced it. Plus, if you've seen the Fog movie, you know that some things happen to a lot of people in the town who kind of become a part of the lore themselves. And in this book, we are seeing exactly that. We are seeing the return of those characters through the Fog and the return of those original like haunts from the Fog. So the Fog's getting real dangerous, and all these people who are still connected to it are kind of drawn into danger all over again. And I will say, this is, I think, the ending of it, but it is so open that you could just keep making the Fog into comics, but also you just keep making the Fog, which is kind of the thing. I mean, that's always really been like one of those stories where it's like, ooh, something is still lurking in the Fog, and here, you know, something is in fact still lurking in the Fog. It reads very much like watching one of the movies, and so if you're into the Fog, the ultimate experience in terror, as it was labeled and is still labeled, you should check it out. I don't know that it was my ultimate experience in terror. Not even the movie. I don't really know that The Fog was ever my ultimate experience in terror. Were you afraid of The Fog when you saw it for the first time?
No. Halloween was much more terrifying.
Halloween was
like
much more
subpar Halloween.
It did. I definitely think I'm going to hold stuff we're talking about. I definitely remember, and if you saw The Fog when you were like a kid or whatever, and it was terrifying to you, please comment, because I want to know. Because, yeah, for me, like, I don't ever remember being afraid of The Fog. Like, even like, and the old, the new, doesn't really matter. I mean, honestly, like, it's one of those things. I don't know. Ultimate experience in terror. I guess because like natural stuff you can't control. Like everybody has fog, and the thing about the fog that's one of those things that's scary is like, I guess when you do look out in your like front yard and you see like really, really like thick fog and you can't see through it, like now you do have that like, is there something in the fog like thought. But like, you know, it's more one of those, I guess, the thought that you put in afterwards, not the movie itself that was scary. But if you were terrified of the fog, I'd love to hear it. Speaking of horror, we've got Bristlemouth, which is a Cove horror, and it's from IPI Comics. This is issue 3 of 4, and this is a story all about a woman who's a nurse who she gets really, really attached to a young kid who's her patient, and the kid does not make it, and so she becomes very depressed and unable to handle things. So all of her nurse friends decide, you know what, let's take a weekend, let's go out and let's have some fun together. And none of them are really all that like connected to each other. Like they're like one of those friends groups where it's like, oh, well, I'm friends with this guy, but like if he didn't work with me, I wouldn't be friends with him. And like, oh, these two are a couple, and like this group is kind of like connected to us. And so it's not like the strongest group to start with, so they start having a lot of discourse and fights very early on, but they're all trying to be there for her. Well, they end up camping in the woods in this cove off of the coast of who knows where, and bad things immediately start happening. All of these like monster type things come out of the woods. Her friends start getting eaten by these monsters, and it turns them into their own kind of monsters, and now she has to face her literal fears and deal with it, and her depression and overwhelming like guilt and all those kinds of things that she's dealing with herself are causing it to be even harder for her to face things, because she's in one of those states where she's almost like catatonic and doesn't want to move, but the only way to survive is to like keep going, which is a thing she needs to learn in general right now. So, you know, is this going to wrap up to be one of those where like it was all a dream, or is it going to be like she really did lose all her friends and now she's like trauma, or is it going to be like some of her friends made it and some of them didn't? I don't know. We've got one issue left, and this could go really bad for her or really well. We're going to find out when it wraps up. But It's crazy, it's off the wall, and you definitely should check it out if you haven't yet. We've got Deprog, issue 3 from Dead Sky. I love this book. Oh my gosh, I love this book so much. I continue to love this book at this point. It's so good. If you are a fan of like all of the detective, like typical noir tropes, and you want to see it told completely in like a completely different way, this is a really great book for that. So this is all about a woman who is a detective. And what she does is she goes in and rescues people from cults, and then she helps them deprogram because she herself was raised in a cult, and so she knows the experience that it causes and everything that really like plays into you from that. Well, one day a femme fatale wanders into her door, and she is trying to figure out how to save the femme fatale needs to save her little brother, who has been taken by this cult and is being impacted in all these crazy ways. And she's like, I need your help. And our detective is like, ooh, I don't know, I don't work with that cult, because that's actually the cult that she was raised by. I don't have very many pages I can actually show, so I'm holding on as much as possible. And so she's kind of trying to deal with that because she really wants to be helpful, but she also like doesn't want to get drawn back into it. Well, needless to say, she gets drawn back into it because the detective can never reject the femme fatale and all the things they need. And so her assistant, who is also the guy that runs the video store that her office is based out of, has gone undercover in this cult and is dealing with some major struggles of trying to get them to believe that he is who he says he is, and also not being, I don't want to ruin anything, and not and isn't, and also like not fall victim to the cult himself. It gets wild. It's insane. There's so many twists and turns in this issue that I don't want to spoil for you, but also it is a very mature book, so I can't show you some of it. So half the pages are spoilers and the other half are mature. But if you're an adult and you're able to read mature titles, you should definitely read this one because it's so well written, and I love Lisa Stroll on art. She's fantastic, and we're on issue 3, and seriously, I cannot wait. I have some Deprog readers in the store, and I cannot wait for them to come in on Wednesday and talk about this ending with me of this issue because, oh my gosh. Opposite end of the spectrum, Misfortune's Eyes, issue 3 from Sumerian. This is actually written by a young girl, and it is about a young girl who finds out that she is from a family of people who have magical powers, and her mom has always hidden that from her, but on her birthday her grandma shows up and is like, hey, we're actually from a completely different place with magical powers, very Halloween Town-esque, and she gets to choose if she wants to go back to this place and learn how to use her powers. So she does, and when she gets there, she finds out that her mom has actually been banished from the town from all of the mistakes that she made when she was trying to save someone. She doesn't really know what, she doesn't know who, and in this issue, something is coming for her grandmother who's been raising her, and she goes back to the main world looking to her mother for help, only to have to bring her mom back and find that they're going to have to face off against a lot of people. And she also learns a little bit more about her own powers and what she can do with them as she starts to discover them. It's super cute. If you have teen or young readers who are looking to get into comics, this is an absolutely great entry point for a lot of young people to get into comics. And if you are an adult who likes magical girl stories and those coming of age stories, this is also just a great one for you as well. Man's Best, issue 3 from Boom Studios. This is Homeward Bound in Space, essentially. I love that they always put the like quotes on books, you know, and literally the quote on the back of this is just fantastic. Scott Snyder. And I'm like, you didn't even say like why. I love it though. It's fantastic. But this is about a cat and 2 dogs who are the pets of a scientist, and she is working on something in space that's like a secretive thing. Well, their spaceship crashes, and every human on the ship is gone missing, and so has the secret machine she has been working on. And so now the cat and 2 dogs that have been her loyal companions all this time are forced to try to find their way through this planet, hoping to find their owner, who they can smell and know that she's got to still be alive, but also find their way back to their home. And in this issue, they get taken in by essentially the like psychic spirit of the ice of the planet, and you see it because it's psychic. You see it how you imagine it. And so I love this because they see them as food. And so one of the people literally looks like a giant cheeseburger man. And I really just want to be friends with Giant Cheeseburger Man. And they keep, like, the dog's like, can we eat them? Like, is that acceptable? And he, like, there's like an ice cream cone. Like, it's like you went to McDonald's in the 80s and all the food was a thing. But they are trying to, not only in this issue are they trying to save their human, but they also have lost one of their friends who has been taken by what they call the tinies, which are these little creatures who are trying to consume him. And they're like, oh my gosh, is he gonna get eaten? And they're like, well, they feed on positive thoughts. And they were like, oh, thank God he's a grumpy old dog. Like, we have time to save him. And so the animals are each having to come to terms with who they are and what they want in life. And they have some big revelations in this issue about maybe they don't all feel the same way about their owner and their life experience and where they're going. And yet they still have to work together, and they still have to solve all of their problems as they deal with space. And honestly, this art is so cool. I love the paneling. It's so, I love when you do weird stuff with your paneling, and this is a fantastic example of it. If you have not dove into this just yet, you should totally check it out, because again, it's like adult Homeward Bound. And really, I guess not even all that adult. It's just a little deep in like some of the concepts, but it's not like mature Homeward Bound. It's just like, you know, if you grew up watching Homeward Bound, you're probably the age where you'd be into that one. We've got, speaking of John Carpenter, we've got Toxic Commando issue 3 from Dark Horse, and this is going to be kind of the wrap up of this mini story that's going to lead into the next issue, the next volume of this. But this is all about a guy who makes all of the wrong choices. He's a rich person who wants to dig so that he can find all the resources that he's heard about that he thinks he deserves because he's a rich person. And he makes the fatal mistake of digging too deep, as they often do, and he unleashes a dark evil that begins to consume people and turn them into these like rabid zombie-esque type creatures. He brings in the, like, you know, the military woman who's like all strict and awesome and is known for her ops of like just destroying everything and everybody. And so they bring her in to clean everything up, only for her to, you know, also go too far in her end of the spectrum. Because isn't that the thing in horror movies? It's always like if you go too far of being too anything, like you're gonna end up in trouble. And so in this issue, it's what's going to be the worst thing to do, like who's going to fall, who's going to make it out, and are we going to actually stop this creature? There's more to come, so we'll find out. But this is, it's again one of those classic like movie monster, people making all the wrong choices, and it's just a fun read. All right, we've got Squish and Squash, issue 3 from Keen Spot. This is your adorable of the day. This is about Squish and Squash, who are an elephant and a cat. And they are a part of the galactic, like, protection, intergalactic search and rescue squad. And it starts out with them in a battle of the badges, which is just one of those friendly charity competitions between the galactic police force and themselves. And it doesn't go quite the way they want it to on the first challenge, but it doesn't matter because they get called away to go and stop some situation that's happening where a bunch of robotic toys have become sentient and are now attempting to take over the planet of the scientist and destroy everything. And so they must recalculate and figure out how to stop these robots. using all of the toys in the factory, and it is absolutely incredibly adorable. And if you haven't read it yet, highly recommend this as a fun one to share with young people, or just to get laughs at yourself. This is great for your dog man audience for sure, because they do have a lot of the same like fun little humor jokes. So and they're just cute, so check it out. Opposite end of the spectrum again. I love the flip-flops that I set up here on accident. But we've got Feral issue 3 from Image Comics, and this is from your Stray Dogs team, coming back to us, but with cats this time. And so in this, we are essentially finding a zombie apocalypse type story in that Don Bluth style animation. This is about a group of cats who find themselves on the run after something has happened that all animals are being rounded up because they are starting to go feral and attack people and attack each other. And so this small group of ragtag group of cats, a couple of whom feel like they have to find their way home, have all teamed up to try to make it through this forest to hopefully make it back to the home of the three kittens who are city cats. And in this issue, we kind of see that the young kitten is still just not able to follow directions. And oh my gosh, is he going to get everybody killed? And it's just making me angry. I want to snuggle him for being a cute cat, but I also just want to like sit him down and be like, can you just listen to somebody, for crying out loud? But I love it because we also essentially get the Walking Dead rules delivered to us from a cat. So it's like, we cannot take anybody in, but if we do, we have to ask them these kinds of questions. Like, these are all the rules for surviving, and it's so funny because you got your rough, like, tomcat who's doing this. But humans are afraid of all animals at this point, and animals are starting to be afraid of each other. And will these cats make it home, and is there any survival rate for them? The stakes seem a lot higher in this one than they did in Stray Dogs because they were all kind of working together, and in this one, like, animals aren't necessarily all on the same side, and they're wild and feral, and you can't necessarily know who's good and who isn't from the beginning. But if you are a fan of The Walking Dead and you're a fan of cats, this is a great mashup for you. And honestly, if you're a fan of Stray Dogs, you definitely just need to read it. Sam and Twitch, Case Files issue 3 from Image Comics, and this is a part of our Spawn universe. But I will say, I did not know that until issue 1 came out, and Matt told me that on the live stream. Like, I knew it was, but there's no connection to Spawn anywhere in the story. So I was like, do I need to know Spawn? The answer is you don't. In fact, you really don't have to know anything about Spawn at all, which is kind of cool because this is a really good story for somebody who's just trying to jump into a really good story and doesn't want to have to, like, know everything from the last 32 years. So if you don't know Sam and Twitch, they are detectives who have been working together, and Sam's kind of the rough and gruff and makes all the wrong choices, like always has to like take it too far kind of situation, and it has gotten them both suspended. And so in that time, Twitch has gone to help a friend out in a small town away from New York City where they normally live to solve a case of these bodies that have shown up, some murders that are happening that are just kind of left in like cornfields around town. And so he's like, I've got to go and figure this out. I've got to help solve this mystery. And it kind of seems like the police that are in this town, like they say they're there to help, but it also kind of seems like some of them are trying purposefully to stall it. I love getting to learn about this character. Twitch is very smart, and he's really super good detective, so I love watching him piece it all together. And I love just the darkness of this case has been really good. And I love when he's like, can I get the case files on everybody that's been missing over the last couple years? And she like hands him this giant stack, and it's like, that's just the first part. And it's like, oh my gosh, like, so nobody in this police force has been doing anything for how long? And he's kind of feeling the same way, and so he starts trying to investigate it, only to find out that not only has a lot of people gone missing, but so has a cop who he was told by the police force moved away, but the cop's girlfriend is saying that that never actually happened. He never gave any indication he was leaving, and suddenly he just disappeared. And we're going to find out if that is connected to why so many of these cops seem shady. Hopefully Twitch can solve the case. He is ignoring all of Sam's calls, so we're going to see where this goes for their friendship and their relationship too. But it is part of your new Spawn universe, so there may be at some point where this does connect to all of your spawns, but if you just want a good detective story so far, you don't have to know anything about that. All right, before I go to the number 2s, we are going to take another drink of our Justin wine because I'm thirsty. And because it's good. Again, shout out to our subscriber Benny for bringing this in. Man, I appreciate it. I'm trying to taste if there's anything, like, I still really taste, like, the blackberry flavor to it, so I'm very excited for, like, a blackberry jam, like I said, to go with this. Yeah. I always want to know, and we were just having this conversation about something completely different yesterday, but whenever they say spices, I'm always like, we were talking about, like, what spices did you put in there? Like, when we were in one of our classes and stuff yesterday, so I'm always like, what is the spice? I have no idea. I have honestly no idea what spices people put in wines. Matt, do you know, like, what spices they, like, add to wines to give them the spicy flavors?
I have no idea.
No idea. If you do, please let us know, because I'm actually really curious about what kind of spices you would put in a red wine to give it that flavor. Because, man, I love spicy wines. They're so good. All right. Next up, we have When the Blood Has Dried, issue 2 from Mad Cave. I'm really excited to see where this one goes after this issue. So this is all about a woman who used to be a part of what they called the Adventurers Guild, and, you know, taking all the bounties, protecting the towns, doing all the things that guild work entails. And she had something happen to her where we know that she was found, like, almost dead in the forest. And so she left the life of the guild behind, and since then has been working as a barkeep with a friend who works as the cook for her bar. And so she's been trying to just, like, enjoy her life, stay hidden away from the guild that she just abandoned. And suddenly one night in her bar, a young guy shows up and is playing poker, and she ends up asking him, like, saving him from somebody cheating, and he comes up and is like, oh, I thank you so much. You're gonna see a lot more of me because my guild is coming here. And she's like, excuse me? And he's like, yeah, the Adventurers Guild. Only to find out the next day in town there's actually a meeting about the fact that the Adventurers Guild is trying to put an outpost in the town. And not only is it the guild, it is the very person who used to be in charge of her, who we kind of get the hint may also be the reason she was almost dead. And he was under the impression that she was dead. And there is an intense showdown in front of the entire town that leads to us finding out some information a little bit about both of them, but also to some very thinly veiled threats from both sides. Really want to see where this goes. I love the relationship between the barkeep and her cook. They are such good friends and such like that, like, odd couple kind of situation. But if you're a fan of things that are D&D kind of related, or, like, you know, those RPG kind of feels, this is going to give you all of that in here. So give it a try. And Mad Cave is just crushing it right now with everything they put out. So they're, like, making a book for every fandom type situation and type of storytellers. So you should check it out. We've got the Dust Pirates issue 2 from Keenspot. This is about two guys who are pirates who have, like, the airship kind of pirate experience, because this is in a world where there's not any water. In fact, one of the places that they go to is Atlantis, and Atlantis is losing its water, even though they cannot survive without it. And they come up with this elaborate plan, like the Queen of Atlantis and the first mate of the pirate captain come up with this elaborate plan to essentially attack the people who are stealing everybody's water. What I love about it is they don't tell the captain, because he's awful at keeping secrets, but also at not being too over the top and changing the plan to whatever benefits him. So he doesn't even find out that there's a plan until this issue, when he's like, wow, that was amazing, congratulations you guys. And part of the plan does include getting captured. And so most of this issue takes place with our two main characters actually in jail, kind of having a conversation about where they're going, what they're doing, what the actual plan is, and will there be war between Atlantis and this other kingdom. And we are going to see how all of that plays out for these two as these pirates continue along their journey. If you're a fan of pirates, this is definitely a book for you. And if you're a fan of corgis, this is the book for you, with Dudley Datson and the Forever Machine, issue 2 from Dark Horse. And this is one of Scott Snyder's Comixology originals. So he originally released the 6 issues on digitally, and then they all got combined into 3 issues for print publication. And if you haven't read it yet, you should definitely grab it. This is about Dudley, who wants to be an inventor. He has always tried to invent the next big thing so that he could save his family. His mom passed away and his dad's not doing well, so he's like, I've got to invent something super cool that makes us money. And it's kind of not really working out for him the way he would hope it would. His inventions kind of all go wrong. And he learns from a corgi, who is a famous inventor throughout history, who runs a secret society, that it's because he's making inventions for the wrong reason. He also learns that there is a whole mess of evil coming his way, and he has been recruited into this secret society on accident, and now he has to basically make a choice, if he wants to stay. Now his corgi companion is like, I don't think you're fit for this. Maybe you should go in another direction. Maybe we can get you out of it. But guess what? Evil doesn't wait for people to make those decisions. And so now he is going to have to save the world before it is too late. And in this issue, they get stuck in a labyrinth maze, and it is in space. They are going to have to solve it. And one of the things about the maze is that it is focused on your worst fears and the thing that you dread that you might become. And everybody kind of has to face pieces of their past and the things that not only they have accomplished or destroyed, but the things that the others have around them. And so we see a lot of facing your worst fears in this issue. It's so good. I mean, Scott Snyder is always fantastic. This is definitely no exception to that rule. It's so good. And if you're a fan of corgis, like I said, you definitely want to get it. And if you're a fan of famous inventors throughout history, you're really gonna love this and the connection point to the corgi and the famous inventors. I feel like I don't want to spoil that for you, even though it actually probably sell the book a little bit more to tell you the who's and what's, but I just love that moment and I don't want to take it from you. So read it. It's only going to be 3 issues, and each issue is double sized, and they're only $4.99. So you need another excuse. And it's Scott Snyder. I already told you, it's amazing. We've got Blow Away issue 2 from Boom Studios. This is all about a woman who is a bird researcher. She's supposed to be filming all of this stuff for birds who kind of make their home or migrate through one of those gigantic Everest kind of peaks that birds shouldn't be up in, especially when it's that snowy. And so she's up in one of those blinds that's really, really fancy for research development kind of situations, and she's out there on her own. And while she's there watching the camera looking for the stuff for the birds, she sees 2 people climbing the mountain at a very dangerous time, and then one of them seems to possibly push the other one off the top of the mountain. And so she's like, oh my god, I just witnessed a murder and I need to do something about it. And so she kind of goes out and tries to investigate everything that happens, only to find out that she can't find any evidence of people even being out there. She ends up taking the information to the police. The police kind of blow her off, thinking maybe she's kind of crazy. And so she opens up her own investigation, and we're gonna see if she can actually solve this thing. And is she going crazy? Is it something she just thought she saw because she's kind of losing her mind because she's been out there on her own for a really long time? Very much like a Rear Window Disturbia kind of situation of you're watching somebody through that that lens and nobody believes you, and is it really there or not? And she's only got a few more days to actually come up with footage of the birds that she's supposed to be watching before they take her away. So she also is given that timeline of, you've got 5 days to solve this murder and figure it out. But in this issue, she may have gone a little too far and may find herself in danger for all the investigation she's doing as well. We've got Rook Exodus issue 2 from Image and the Ghost Machine imprint, which is Jeff Johns and Friends' new imprint. And this is one of Jeff's new books, and it is Jason Fabok on art, so I know everybody's been really excited about that. But this is about a world where when we destroyed the Earth, we kind of found a new planet that we could work on, and so they spent time building it up, and it was going to be wonderful. And one of the things they did was they trained people to wear these helmets that would give them the ability to communicate with the animals and kind of use that as a way to protect themselves, but also to like protect migration patterns for birds and communicate with the animals to find all the necessary resources. All the reasons communicating with animals would be important, both industrially and honestly economically. And the planet didn't work out. Long before this series ever starts, the planet that they went to that was supposed to be safe didn't work out, and everybody abandoned it. But a lot of people got left behind, and a bunch of them happen to be the people who are in this program with the ability to talk to animals. And so we've been following one particular who has the ability to speak to the crows and the birds, and his friend who speaks to pigs, and they have been trying to build a rocket. And so the pigs they've been using the pigs to, like, find spots that have machinery that they can use to build their rocket. And so they are trying to do just that in this issue and trying to get off the planet. But we find out that they are not as alone on this planet as they thought. And if there are good people in the world, there are always going to be bad people. And these bad people are coming specifically for the ones who can control the animals. And we are going to see how that works out. And for those who read the Ghost Machine one-shot, there were so many people that were like, I read the Ghost Machine one-shot, I want to get Rook just for Direwolf, she seems so cool. I had so many of you say that, which I loved. They were like, oh man, just Direwolf, she's the coolest, she's like the most awesome looking character, and she does all the cool stuff in the one-shot. Well, here she is, she appears in this issue. This is the beginning of Direwolf coming into the team, so you need to make sure you're getting in there now, because she is there. All right, we got a bunch of new books launching this week. We've got Sanction #1 from Mad Cave. This is all about a detective who is known for not solving cases that are supposed to be open and closed. Like, everybody's like, you don't put enough credits on your sheet, you need to solve some more cases. And so one day a man finds a body. One of the detectives is brought in because there's a body on the ground, and he's like, I'm pretty sure that this is just a woman off the street. I don't think we need to make a big deal about it. I'm going to pass the case on to the guy that never solves any cases. But the reason he never solves any cases is because, unlike everybody else, he doesn't just blow them off, and he actually starts looking into it. And when he shows up, he finds out that nobody looked for her missing shoe, nobody looked for her purse, nobody actually did anything. And he's like, this isn't an open and shut case until we find out the pieces. And it turns out, as he starts finding pieces, it's not an open and shut case. And he is pretty sure that it's because they don't want it to be connected to, nobody wants to actually go against the people that it's connected to. And so he's like, well, I have no problem doing that. I'm going in. And so once again, as usual, when they tell him not to go after a case, he does. And we get a really good detective story opening up right here. And this takes place in Russia. I believe it's actually like Soviet Russia, based off of the front. But he is dealing with a lot of forces he should not be messing with, but he's going to do it anyway. And I'm already like, let's go, let's solve this case, let's see what happens. Mad Cave is doing a lot of great detective stories right now. This is just going to be added to the list of yet another one. The Butcher's Boy, issue 1 from Dark Horse. If you're looking for some good horror that's going to have a lot of those classic tropes, but do it in a really fun way, this is another one that you're going to need. This is about a group of people who are going to go on vacation. And again, it's one of those where like somebody's kind of connected to somebody else to connect to somebody else. Like it's 5 friends. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 friends. One of them just got a new girlfriend. So, of course, she's kind of leading, like, what his decisions are. And he's like, oh, I don't want to go to the same place we always go. Like, my girlfriend wants to go to this new place. And they're like, fine, whatever. As long as we get to go to the lake we always go to afterwards. Like, we can stop in this place. And so the place she wants to go is this small town that she saw on one of those, like, unsolved murder mystery horror story kind of things. And it was all about, like, this butcher who kind of lost his mind and did some bad things to people in the town. And they now think that there's like unsolved mysteries and crazy stuff that's been happening there. She wants to go there so that she can do some Instagram videos and things like that. And when they get there, all the tension that is lying between the group for all the different reasons, one of them being a couple who's not happy with the fact that they're not getting their special vacation. The other 2 friends being people that kind of hooked up and now they're on the outs. And then, of course, everybody having the tension of why is our new friend dragging his girlfriend along and letting her run our vacation. But then what's really cool about it is at the very beginning, it's like it shows one of the guys and his thoughts on the vacation. And, like, it's like, this is Thursday. And then it shows them on Sunday, like, having slaughtered all kinds of, like, people and things and no idea what actually happened, just, like, in these blood-covered rooms. And it does that for, like, each member of the team. And then we just go into the story of, like, them actually going on it. So we know there's this looming darkness, not only over, like, this unsolved mystery of this town and this, like, haunted experience, but also of whatever it is that happened with the team, because we already saw the foreshadowing of them like doing these bad things. And of course you get to this small town and like immediately cell phones don't work and nobody in the city is around, and when they finally do find all the people, they're like all in the diner and they have those like everybody's staring at us moments. So you get, and then like, oh, we're stuck here because the car doesn't work. You get all your tropes, but you get them in like a cool new story that's going to be a lot of fun and really dark, and I'm super excited to see where it goes. I love horror books because they do take all those tropes and just keep telling me great stories with them. We've got Blood Squad 7 issue 1 from Image Comics. If you just read Dutch, we brought back Dutch and his crew from the old days of Image, and this is all about it's a Joe Casey story that he's bringing back, but you don't have to know that, honestly, with Blood Squad 7. They do hint a little bit about what just happened in Dutch, which was a 3-issue series if you want to go back and read it. But honestly, this is all about building a new team of superheroes who, in the past, they all used to be superheroes together, and they really put a lot of emphasis on this celebrity-ness of the superheroes. And they were a team 30 years ago, and it was all about like magazine covers and toy deals and things like that. And now it's like, okay, we need to rebuild this, and we need to not do that again. We need to just make people trust us. And so they have gone in and operated under code names and performed all this work for the government, and now it's like, okay, we need to actually have a marketing team get ready and be prepared to like actually unravel this or unroll this to the world. I love this because they show these toys and they literally call them Todd toys because it's supposed to be like they were a team 30 years ago. So they're McFarlane toys, Todd toys specifically. Love it. The great throwback. And they talk about like what it was like to be, and look at like you can even see like the packaging on it, it's hilarious. They talk about what it was like to be a superhero in the 90s and how it was like everything you did, like it was so cool, like it was just wild, you could do whatever you wanted, but that is not the case anymore, and some bad decisions are made very early on, and we are going to see, can we bring some of the heroes out of retirement? Do the ones we bring out of retirement have too much trauma and bad decision-making skills? Can they actually help in modern America? And like we are very specifically like in modern America in this book. So check it out. If you like, again, kind of, if you're a fan of Local Man, I think Blood Squad 7 is going to be another good one to jump into. And then we've got The Forged, issue 8, which I have at the bottom just because it's a ginormous book. Not because it's a number 1. But this is from Image. This is Greg Rucka, and if you are into sci-fi, this is going to be a great one for you. It is a very sci-fi heavy book in that it does take place in space, and you do get a lot of like space jargon. But it follows a group that's called the Forge, which are basically women who are trained to be military assassins and leaders for the Empress and her different like acolytes who are all specialty versions of herself, essentially. Like it's like just this, like they call them the Cassandras, and they're just these magical beings that kind of protect the Empress, and then the Forge protect them and the planet. And over the last couple of issues, the Forge have become very special and wonderful to the Empress. But in this last issue, our leader of the Forge has gone missing, possibly is dead. They are counting her as dead in the society, and they are trying to force the team to keep going without her, but they don't want to. They want to go out and try to find their leader. We get a lot of bad choices from political leaders who are like, we need to go to war, we need to keep going, we've got to send our Forged back. And so there is a big war that is brewing, and it is all probably going to be because of some really bad manipulation, and the Empress not making the right choices. The Cassandras are kind of taking over. We've got that's a spoiler. We've got a really great battle, not only looming on the outside, but also between all of the different Forged groups. Our normal group is having a trauma right now, but they are definitely going to use that against the people who are coming after them. But everybody must stand up and fight if there is going to be war. And the thing is that the Cassandras that could see the future had said that Victory, who was our leader of the Forge, could not die, and nobody has ever explained why, and what this like prophecy type thing was of why we needed Victory so much. So it's very important to our team and to our world that we find Victory and prove that she is still alive. And it's just one of those books that's in this beautiful IMAX size. All right, I've got 3 picks of the week. I'm going to take another drink of this Justin before I get there. All right, first up, we've got Judgment Day from Archie Comics. This is issue 1. This is the Frankavilla cover. I love Frank, and this cover is amazing. It would have been my Megan Hutchison cover, but I didn't get it in. So if you're watching this, grab your Megan Hutchison cover A of this book. But even if you get this amazing Frank cover, which it is, let's not go crazy. Like, this is fantastic. Frankavilla doing Archie horror is always one of my favorite things. It doesn't matter which cover you get at the end of the day, because on the inside it's all Megan Hutchison art, which is awesome. If you have read Archie horror, you know that there's a lot of demons and crazy stuff that's going down in the world, and the Blossoms specifically have been in Blossom 666. We learned that they were gunning for the role of Antichrist, and so there's some possessions and some demons happening in here, and Archie is like, hey, I don't know where to turn, I don't know what's going on, everybody's turning into a demon, everybody's possessed, it seems like the world is coming to an end. Very like Afterlife with Archie all over again. He's like, I don't want to deal with this again. So he turns to somebody for help that he meets on the street, who just happens to be Madam Satan. And he's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And she's like, well, I can help you. I can help you put this, like, give you your own demon power, essentially, to fight with. And Archie is like, I mean, is it safe? Am I going to become like possessed like everybody else? And she's like, no, of course not, because we should always listen to Madam Satan. Okay. And so Archie makes some decisions where he lets her do whatever it is that she's going to do. And now Archie has his own demon that he is kind of working against, because of. We're going to find out, because Archie is starting to question his own morality and his own decision-making as he attempts to fight this demon world that is swirling up around him in so many ways. And of course, Archie has to turn human-wise to his one buddy that he can always trust, and that's Jughead. And so we're going to see Jughead and Archie kind of team up as Archie deals with this good and evil battle that is warring not only around him but inside of him. And we're going to do it all with the fantastic art of Megan Hutchison, who is my sister, and I love her, and it's amazing. And you should read this because it's going to be great. And it's not a one-shot. So much of our Archie horror recently have just been one-shots. And so a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, I'll like get it when I get it. This is not. And if you know the Archie horror books that are like ongoing, Chilling Adventures, Afterlife with Archie, Vampironica, Jughead the Hunger, they've always been really, really good, and they always sell really, really fast and are hard to find afterwards. So don't sleep on it. Grab it now. It's going to be amazing. And, if you're picking it up and you're like, wow, I really love this art and I want some more, buy a copy of Rockstars that Megan also did the art on, which is also a great horror book. Speaking of horror, we've got White Boat #1 from Distillery, and I guess also speaking of Francavilla, this is Scott Snyder and Francavilla, who I love as a team together every time that they work together, and this is no exception. I'm going to pull this out really fast so you can see the wraparound, because all Distillery books have these cool wraparound covers on their giant prestige format books. If you read The Devil's Cut, it had your teaser for White Boat in it. If you didn't, that's okay, because the whole story is out now, and so you can jump right in. And White Boat is all about a guy who, when he was a kid, him and his brother spent most of their time on a boat with their parents. Their dad, their mom, both of them always taking them out onto the boat, having fun. One night, he is on the boat with his dad and his brother, and a rogue wave hits and washes the boat tips the boat over, which is crazy. It was a 20-foot wave. They didn't expect it to be able to come, nonetheless knock him over, and his brother does not make it. And so he spends his whole life thinking it's his fault that his brother died because he had switched beds with him at the last minute, and assumes that that's the only reason why his brother didn't survive. But even still, he spends his time writing about boats for the rest of his life. He becomes a journalist who kind of talks about all the different yachts and things going on, and there is an elusive experience called, like, a yacht that's called the White Boat, and everybody's always been like, it's not the biggest, but it's supposed to be the most prestigious. It's impossible to get on it. Nobody's ever really like been there and come back, and so he wants the experience of it. And one day he gets an invitation, and the rules are he cannot take a cell phone, he cannot tell anybody he's going, but he has the ability to go to the White Boat and do a story on it. And when he arrives on the White Boat, he's kind of finds himself disappointed, because not only is it not any bigger, but it kind of seems to be the same as every other yacht that he's ever been on that's of that size. He's like, okay, so you've got a lot of rich people stuff and a lot of in a giant boat. Like, who doesn't? And it's after he makes that comment to the person that is his tour guide through the boat that they ask him if he is ready to see the real boat and actually experience the true White Boat. And they open up a room off of the boat that like leads him down into another place, and he finds out that what the White Boat really is nothing that anybody could have been prepared for. And he's not, I don't even want to show you. You know what? I'm going to make you read it. He's not prepared for what lies beneath, and neither are you. Scott Snyder and Francavilla do excellent stories together every time they work together. If you read Night at the Ghoul, you know that to be true. And I cannot, or Batman, Black Mirror. But this is such a great team. It's such a great book. Distillery continues to just bring us these powerhouse creators making powerhouse stories. And Distillery does not do second prints. So if you are like, this sounds interesting, but I think I'll wait and see, maybe if I'm interested like in a couple of weeks, don't wait. There are no second prints. Once an issue is gone from Distillery, it's gone. And I will tell you, the only copies of this book that still exist are the ones that exist in stores. It is sold out at distribution level. So if you want to read this book, head to your local comic shop and grab it now, because it's not going to be there for long. And once everybody starts picking it up, it isn't going to exist anymore. So you better go get it now, because you aren't going to want to miss it. Lastly, Picks of the Week. I'm so excited. Every once in a while, I allow myself to bring a graphic novel of that I can't stop thinking about to the table for Picks of the Week. And this is the one. I read this today, actually, because the the premise of it, I was like, this is my book. But this is My Fairy Godfather. It's from Fantagraphics, and it is all about a young girl whose parents pass away, and she is left essentially in their will to her godfather, which is the parents' best friend from college. And so she moves from Austin to a small town in Kansas, which is supposed to be the home of Dorothy Gale from The Wizard of Oz. If you've ever read The Wizard of Oz or seen The Wizard of Oz, you know that there is actually they don't establish what place in Kansas she's from. So this place kind of just claimed her. And when she gets there, it's a very small town. It's got very small town ideals, and she just came from Austin, so she's struggling just a little bit with that. But her godfather and his partner run the local theater, and so she's like, I'm gonna have fun getting to watch old movies. It's a one theater screen. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be wonderful. And so she decides what she's going to do is she's going to start a film club to hopefully build up the theater, but also to make some friends with more people, because the one person she's made friends with is a young girl who's a Dorothy impersonator at the Dorothy house. So she screens a movie, and it's not the right choice. It is very mature, and the small town that she's from or that she's living in gets very upset about it, and they start a protest against the theater and specifically against her fairy godfather and his partner, and they specifically go after them. And so people start boycotting the theater. They start trying to run these people out of town. She feels really bad. Her aunt and uncle, who she was not left to back in Texas, decide they're going to come and try to take her from her godfather for being involved in all of these things and for being a queer man. And she's like, whoa, no, you can't do that. Meanwhile, she also falls for this boy, and it turns out he's somebody who's connected to some hateful things that have happened in the town, and she's not very happy with that. She has to kind of come to terms with that, and he has to come to terms with who he is. And they need to save their theater and save themselves and save their relationship, and a lot of beautiful, incredible things happen. One of the things I love about this book, though, is you always hope that at the end of a book you're going to have this happy ending where everybody suddenly is like, oh, we believe in the power of love, and where it's totally okay that, all of this happened. And that's not necessarily real life. And because this is a Fantagraphics book, we kind of deal with it in terms of real life. And so it kind of has a slice of life ending where it's like, maybe one person learned a couple of things about themselves, and maybe each of them kind of learned a different thing about themselves, but nobody the whole world didn't change just because of what happens in the book. But we do see it feels very slice of life. It's very amazing. It's got a lot of Wizard of Oz references. She's from Austin, so it's got a lot of Austin references. It's a beautiful story, and I absolutely 100% totally cried at the end. And if you haven't picked this up yet, you should definitely check it out, because it's going to be a book that is probably talked about all next year leading up to the Eisners and as we go through this. So read that and check it out. We've got some other books in stock this week. We've got Symbiote Spider-Man 2099, issue 3 from Marvel out this week. We've got Superior Spider-Man 7, also from Marvel. I love this cover. We've got Nottingham, issue 12 of 15. This new series of Nottingham is going to wrap up in just a couple issues. Speaking of wrapping up, Justice League versus Godzilla vs. Kong wrapped up this week with issue 7. Elvira meets H.P. Lovecraft, issue 4. We've got Conan the Barbarian, issue 11. And Bloodshot has returned to us in Bloodshot Unleashed Reloaded, issue 3 from Valiant and Alien Books. Army of Darkness, issue 8. It was a very big Tony Fleece book this week. Batman Superman World's Finest, issue 27. Black Widow and Hawkeye, issue 3. Oh my gosh, we're flying. And also Stephanie Phillips. Blood Hunt, issue 2 came out this week. This is the regular version, not the red band version. Catwoman, issue 65. Ghost Rider, Final Vengeance, issue 3. We've got Green Lantern War Journal, issue 6, following Jon Stewart's stories. And we've got Hellblazer, Dead in America, issue 5. If you were looking for some more John Constantine in your life and you didn't know he was back, DC does have a Constantine story running right now. We've got Nightwing, issue 114. We've got Predator, The Last Hunt, issue 4. Rogue Sun is out this week, and I am behind, which is the only reason it's not on the live stream this week, but this is issue 19. I'm very excited to see it continuing. Amazing Spider-Man issue 50 for this run, which is actually a legacy number 944, but if you're on that run, we're still really far in with issue 50. We've got Spectacular Spider-Man issue 3. This is Spider-Man because it is Miles and Peter together. Ghost Spider is back with a new issue 1. This is a all-new Spider-Gwen story that is going to be fantastic, and they really want us to call her Ghost Spider, so if you have not flipped over, we obviously all need to work together to flip to Ghost Spider. Superman issue 14. Ultimate Black Panther issue 4. Titans issue 11 is out this week. Wonder Woman, the Tom King run, is on issue 9 already. I am behind on this as well, and I'm really sad about it because it is so good. So I have to catch up. We've got The Fall of the House of X issue 4, and for all of you X-Men 97 fans, issue 3 of the X-Men 97 comic is out this week as well. And Destiny New York, my girlfriend booked up with me, so now I run the Mystical Mafia. It's totally a great manga name. Issue 3 is out this week. And then we've got the remastered version of Lore from Ashley Wood out this week, which is really cool looking. I love you've got so many different art styles in it, but if you haven't read it yet, you should check it out. And then we've got some great trade paperbacks in stock. Blood Commandment from Simon Krodansky is out. This is a vampire story in a whole new way. It's about a dad and a son, and the dad kind of raises his son out in the woods to keep him safe from everything that he doesn't want people to find them, and he doesn't want people to know about him. And he has recently lost his wife, so they're out there to try to build their lives anew, and the old master comes for him, and we see how that plays out. This is the entire thing, so check it out. Honestly, like, if you've never read anything by Simon Krodansky, this is it's a shorter story than Something Epic. Obviously, Something Epic is still my favorite, but this is a shorter story that kind of gives you a little bit of his art style. It gives you some of his great storytelling, and it gives how he always makes everything have multiple meanings and just get really deep. And speaking of deep, we got Deep Cuts. This is the entire thing. This is a historical fiction about jazz and blues music throughout the entirety of America. This is it kind of goes through different places. It's so good. Each issue was amazing. It's an anthology, so you can pick it up and read one issue, put it back down, come back to it. It's so good. I can't even explain to you how much you need to read it if you haven't checked it out yet. Seriously, it's Kyle Higgins, who does Radiant in Black, and Joe Clark, and then a slew of incredible artists who tell you some really great stories about music history in America. And then finally, in trade paperback form, we've got Poison Ivy issues 1 through 6, the new DC run from G. Willow Wilson. I know so many people are loving this book. I'm so happy. It was originally only supposed to be the 6 issues, and now we're on like issue 15, issue 30. I don't know. We keep going. It's amazing. We are really far in. And it's so good, and it stays good. So if you haven't read it yet, grab it. And I said I wasn't going to talk about them because we do our manga separately, but I can't help it. We've got Witch Hat Atelier is finally back with issue 12. I'm so excited. It took forever for issue 12 to get here, and it's here now, and I'm so happy. If you haven't read this yet, issue 1 is on the Shan Pick shelf in the manga section, and it is an absolutely fantastic story. If you love things like Harry Potter, Percy Jackson, anything in that storytelling fashion, you're going to love this for sure. And really, this is honestly my ultimate pick of the week, which is Nina the Starry Bride, volume 4. It's so good. I love this. It's all about a young girl who was raised on the streets, was a peasant, and the princess of a realm was supposed to be sold to another one so that they could build an alliance between kingdoms. And her carriage crashes, and the only thing anybody knows about this princess is that she has beautiful blue eyes. So they go through the kingdom and find another girl who has the same bright blue eyes, and that is Nina, who is then trained on how to be a princess, and now has been sent to the other realm. And while she feels like she's in love with the prince back home, she must fall in love with the prince that she, or at least into existence with the prince that she is supposed to marry. And twists and turns and love stories and wonderfulness and all of the things that make a perfect, wonderful story that I am obsessed with, and I just want to hug it. And I literally am wondering what they're doing with their lives right now while I'm sitting here. I just hope that they're okay, and I hope that they're all having a wonderful experience. And like, I mean, if they were real people, I would have already texted them like 27,000 times and been like, oh my god, girl, are you okay? Like, let's talk. Like, how's it going? Seriously, these are my new fictional best friends and crushes and all of the above. And so if you haven't read it yet, read it because it's so good. I love it. And it's amazing. And that's all the books we have for you. Again, don't forget to come in for Get Your Summer Reading On. Get your bookmarks designed by all the kiddos throughout Bradenton and Manatee County, because we've got so many cool ones, and they are going to be available for you to pick up this summer. Take them to put in your trade paperbacks, into your novels, whatever it is you're reading. You're going to need a bookmark, and we've got you covered from all of these incredible kiddos who designed these. We've got Slam Academy going on this weekend for world building, to talk about how to build your world in both writing and in art. Don't miss it if you've got a kid or teen in your life that you can bring out for that. It's going to be fun. Check our Facebook page for more details on that event, as well as all the other events coming up in June, because it is going to be a big month. For those of you who have the day off tomorrow, and those of you who don't, either way, a happy Memorial Day. Bat City will be closed. We are closed every Monday, whether it's a holiday or not, so we will not be open. And once again, a huge shout out to Benny for this Justin wine. We are going to continue to enjoy it as we eat our dinner and celebrate another wonderful week of great comics at Bat City. Whatever you picked up this week and whatever you're going to pick up this Wednesday for New Comic Book Day, we hope you enjoy it and have a wonderful time filled with a lot of incredible, wonderful, and happy reading.